But you need to prioritize your nutrition and your diet
sure.
as something
I was
that's
just about
worthy
to
of
say that.
investing proper money into. Like, it's your vessel. You need to be willing to spend the proper money to operate efficiently. And it's not that much of a difference compared to what you're already spending now, especially if you're going out and eating all the time.
Which most people are.
Most people are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into that.
Yeah. So
I don't know, did we ever really like
we talked a little bit about it whenever.
Why are you starting it?
Yeah,
I think
when
we
I
did.
discussed like the difference between ketosis and fat adaptation.
Right.
And where ketosis is just when your body is able to produce ketones.
Right.
And then fat adaptation is when your body is now sourcing out primarily those ketone bodies to use fats as fuels.
Right.
So that's where, ultimately where I wanted to get to was where I was fat adapted.
Do you think you ever got to that point?
I think I am now.
Or do you think you're at that point right now?
Yeah, I think I'm at that point now. I think it takes anywhere from like 4 to maybe like 8 weeks in order to get fat adapted if you're doing a keto diet.
Right.
And there are a few signs that they say.
I was going to say, what were the indicators to you?
Yeah, there's a few common signs. One of them is like a decrease in cravings in between meals.
Okay.
Which for 2 meals a day, like I've been practicing forever, I never really felt that. I'm not really a big snacker. So that wasn't that big of an indicator, but I feel like when I went eventually down to 1 meal a day and then I wasn't craving like in between my fasting times, that's a big thing. Increased energy levels. I used to take naps almost every day, either for like anywhere from like 30 minutes to an hour.
Now you don't even feel the need.
I don't feel the need to take a nap.
And I'm asking this nearly rhetorically, so just know that why do you think there's a reason your energy levels increase, your awareness increases, your cognitive function increases when you've been doing this keto or the 1 meal a day or the 2 meals a day? Why do you think? Or with intermittent fasting or fasting in general?
So when your body is running off your fat stores and like building ketone bodies from that, you have like a readily available source of fuel all the time,
right?
As opposed to whenever you have a high carb diet, it's dependent on when you eat, how much you eat, and typically feel like a spark of energy throughout those times.
Why do you think, truly, why would the body do that?
I think that it's whenever anything you do, for a certain period of time, your body adapts to that.
Right. And
so if you are undergoing a certain way of eating, whether that be actually what you're eating or splitting up when you're eating, right. So like implementing something like an intermittent fast,
right.
Your body is going to figure out what's the best way to optimize this and how do we now function with this going on.
Right. And
so when you're fasting, your body's not expecting those meals. So it has to gain energy somewhere else.
And it has to be on constant, it has to literally almost nearly be on constant alert about am I going to eat? Are we eating? What are we eating? Right. It's been a while since we had food.
Yeah. If we ain't going to get these nutrients, let's figure out how to make them another way.
And so over time, that's the whole point is before we had a surplus of food, which let's just say was 10,000 years ago, we started actually farming and started becoming agrarian people. Agrarian just means farmers, people who would crop their farms and have a surplus of food. We only started doing that and stopped being nomadic around 10,000 years ago, really around 9,000 years ago, whenever the last recessions of the ice sheets receded from the last ice age. It was only at that point where we had food in surplus, where our bodies nearly anticipated food regularly. But before then, there was never a guaranteed on when we would eat and when we would have that food coming in. So our bodies had to find a way to essentially store energy or have a reservoir of energy whenever it is otherwise in those deficits, in those caloric deficits. So if you are, let's say, hunting down a mammoth, right? You murder that mammoth. You don't have salt to preserve it. You don't have all this stuff you have to eat it right then and there. You eat that, and maybe a week before you have another big meal like that. So your body, human body specifically, over time have evolved and have designed to become efficient enough to operate without a surplus of food sources, because it's only been a short amount of time that we've had food in surplus. So you being food restrictive you being calorie restrictive and especially carb restricted has nearly put you back into a more sufficient way that your body was originally anatomically designed for, which is prolonged periods of fasting so your body can digest all the excess residual buildup of food and the lack of refined bullshit carbs and glucose that is in all food nowadays, but really started becoming a product of agrarian societies.
That's another big thing is obviously, I mean, knowing that a lot of the processed foods here in the Western world are full of all this refined stuff.
Right.
But when you're on a keto diet, you really become aware of it because you're very selective with what you're eating.
Right.
And with with restricting the types of food you can eat, for me personally, I wanted to take that next step and really since I'm already restricting these foods and I only get to eat out of this, I want to make sure that what I'm eating is really good quality. Mm-hmm. And so that's another takeaway is being even more mindful of what I'm eating and the quality of food that I'm eating.
Right.
And then taking that, if you can afford it, you know what I mean? Not everyone can afford to eat organic.
But you need to prioritize your nutrition and your diet
for sure.
as something that's worthy of investing proper money into. Like, it's your vessel. You need to be willing to spend the proper money to operate efficiently. And it's not that much of a difference compared to what you're already spending now, especially if you're going out and eating all the time.
Which most people are.
Most people are.
So yeah, that's a big thing is being more selective and mindful of the quality of foods that I was eating.
Nice.
And I feel like that's going to stay with me forever.
Right.
And just one thing that I never ate before keto was ghee, which is like clarified butter. I think that I'm going to continue eating ghee because ghee actually tastes really good. It gives it more of like a rich, like nuttier taste than butter.
Oh, wow.
Like it's really big in Middle Eastern food.
Okay.
So if you like Indian food, if you like other Middle Eastern types of food, you probably would like ghee as well because it's very heavily based in their cuisine.
Okay, wow.
So,